What's going on, guys? This is Raymond Iron by McKinney. Today I'm going to make a video discussing a step-by-step systematic way of thinking about how your thought patterns, your inner speech movements, your self-narrative reveals your reality. What you constantly tell to your mind, what you constantly narrate to your mind, that's what reveals itself relative to your objective senses. That's going to be your dominant experience. Your dominant thoughts reveal your dominant reality. And I'm going to discuss this in a systematic way using science, using some of Neville's work and some of Joseph Murphy's work, and just kind of really compiling them together into in a way that, from my perspective, to really simplify this as best as I can. So here goes. So your speech, the voice, produces mechanical motion, as well as undulatory currents in empty space. Currents in empty space between you and me. Mechanical motion produces heat. Okay? And heat causes atomic matter of the entire universe to expand. So like I was talking about in some of my earlier messages, that the universe is constantly expanding due to and this part I talk about that matter has no ability to expand without an initial force, and there has to be a primal force in order for the universe to expand. And speech produces a mechanical force of energy. Atoms are constantly vibrating and expanding due to this force of energy, and the subconscious mind renders or holds the atoms visibly to be made visibly manifested. Atoms never physically touch, guys. They repel each other. And yet the electrons that make up the atom orbit around the nucleus of that atom. So even though they don't touch, they're still in orbit. They're still suspended. Like the planets that orbit around planets in space, they orbit. They never physically touch, and yet they're still in orbit. The electrons that make up the atom that orbit around the nucleus of the same atom. Atoms infinitely split due to this directed force, and yet the subconscious renders the atoms visible relative to your objective senses. So you can pierce through the atom, and you realize when you keep dividing the atom, a number over zero, guys, it's undefined. It infinitely splits. And your thoughts produce subtle speech movements. No matter how subtle your thoughts are, guys, you're producing subtle speech movements. You're always expressing movements in your body, your physical behaviors, and the atomic structure of the universe, and your subtle speech movements, thus producing mechanical motion, thus producing heat, thus producing matter to expand. And I pulled in a quote here by Max Planck to really sum this up, that we must assume, like the founder of quantum theory, he says, we must assume behind this force a conscious mind or spirit, for this mind is the matrix of all matter. That your subconscious mind renders matter to be made manifested. So even though we live in and then I'm touching on this last part here too, life never happens to you, guys. Everything happens through you. Life forever expands through you, and your dominantly focused thought patterns reveal one of these infinitely many realities relative to you. Life is how you view it, directed by your focused thoughts, or self-talk, or self-narrative, your inner speech movements, your inner speech patterns. So basically, from all that, like I said, guys, that's just a systematic way of really understanding the science when it comes to your self-talk in relation to the world around you. Nothing ever is attracted to you. When you hear things like, and this is where I make this message more clear and precise Because when you hear stuff like the law of attraction, nothing's attracted to you, guys. Everything's expanding through you, forever expanding through you. And yet it's rendered on the screen of space due to your mind, your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind fills in the empty space of dark matter. You're just constantly piercing through the atoms, moment by moment. Everything, you're constantly piercing through the atoms, constantly penetrating the atoms through your focus, through what you're focused on. What you focus on reveals that reality. The atoms rearrange. They have no mind of their own, guys. Atoms have no choice but to obey what you focus on. They rearrange and conform in your favor. They don't attract you. They simply just rearrange, like an army, in an army-like fashion. They rearrange. They infinitely split, and then create and then reproduce that image that you say in your mind, that you make the blueprint in your mind, what you constantly tell yourself in relation to the universe around you. And this is so freaking powerful, guys. When I share this message, this is literally things like how people show up in your life, how money shows up in your life. Because here's another thing too, guys. Money, nothing ever physically touches. And yet, the electrons that make up the atom orbit around the nucleus of that atom. That includes money. How money shows up, how people show up, or relationship partners show up in your life. Your thoughts reveal your reality. Your dominant thoughts reveal your reality. Your dominant habitual focused thoughts reveal that one of those infinitely many realities that exist within you here now. Everything, or the infinitude creation already exists within you, guys, and yet still expands. Forever expands through you. And is rendered on the screen of space when you put your dominant focus on that. What you dominantly focus on reveals itself or objectifies itself relative to your objective senses. You're not controlling the universe, guys. This is going in complete conformity with the laws of physics. This is not wishful thinking. This is science. This is the deep science of our existence. And we're becoming forever increasingly aware of what already exists. And when we become more, like when we think of just going so deep into focus, when we go so deep into focus, life around us expands. We notice that it expands even more. That life is more expansive because we're putting all of our attention within our own being. And again, life never happens to you. Everything happens through you. Projects itself outward, constantly expands and renders itself once you put your attention on it. And it reproduces itself in the form of, whether you like to do visualization or listen to someone's familiar voice congratulating you on a certain thing, on your success or whatever, or rehearsing mental scenes in your mind, mental actions in your mind that they produce, that everything objectified, guys, is just a manifestation of what's going on within the subconscious data field of information or energy that can never be created nor destroyed. We're selecting from this field moment by moment. And there's no matter without this field, guys. Like Einstein said, the field is the sole governing agency of all of the particle of matter. If there's no field, guys, there is no objectified matter. There is no Raymond without this field. That we are the field, guys. We are the field expressing itself and interacting with itself moment by moment. That we contain all contents of time, cyclic time, past, present, future. That time is a fourth dimensional way of thinking. That we think fourth dimensionally. That we see that the past, present, future already exists here and now. All realities already exist here and now, waiting to be to think from that reality, to think from the frequency, that everything's energy vibrating on a particular frequency. The vibration causes the vibration of atoms, rendered by your mind, are manifested. And the frequency is what you habitually focus on, what you habitually think from, what state you habitually think from. That's what reveals itself relative to you. That everything is energy vibrating from a particular frequency. So guys, I hope this video helps a ton. And I bless you all, and happy manifesting. What would the Iron Body do? I am the Iron Body. I've always been a master at manifesting. And life is right in my favor. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful, guys? Bless you all.